book lovers, it is G-Swizz here, and I'm here today to talk about the romance books that are at the top of my TBR. If you didn't know, this is a 7 on Sunday topic, and I am the host of 7 on Sunday. I will link the Goodreads page down in the description where you can check it out and you can participate in a topic in the future, or you can suggest a topic. In this week's topic, we are kicking off the lovey-dovey month of February. Because Valentine's Day ends up in February, we are going to be doing some romantic themes this month. What better way to kick it off than talk about the books that we are excited about that just so happen to be romantic? I've decided on my list, majority of my list are just going to be wholesome, light, romantic contemporaries. I will be doing a dark romance TBR later this month because so far I haven't really delved into the dark romance realm too much yet, because while I can acknowledge that they are entertaining reads, they are heavier reads, whereas the reads on this list today seem to be lighter, and so I'm putting them on this contemporary TBR. I mean, I'm saying contemporary in a way because one of these books, while it is listed in the romance section, it does have an unrealistic theme to it, more like a sci-fi theme. However, it is categorized in the romance section in a bookstore. But majority of these are contemporary-esque. I'm very much looking forward to sharing these with you guys and to reading them. I guess without further ado, let's get straight into this list of romance novels that are at the top of my TBR at the moment. So first of all, I would like to bring up a Christina Lauren novel, one that I wanted to get to first, Soulmate Equation. I feel like this Christina Lauren novel got me very much interested in the idea of getting into Christina Lauren's writing because I love the concept of this specific romance novel. It follows someone who is struggling to find love and the creator of an app that apparently helps you find your soulmate. They end up getting matched together. And that personally fascinates me because it's just a really cool premise, but also I'm very much curious to see how it will all pretty much go from there. And at the moment, Christina Lauren are a author duo I find comfort in. Almost all of their books have been comforting so far. There have been a few misses, but a lot of hits from Christina Lauren. And the Soulmate Equation, I hear great things about. Hearing the premise of this book is what intrigued me in reading their books to begin with. However, I think the reason why I have not yet picked it up is because I have very high expectations for the Soulmate Equation based on its synopsis and based on how many people really love it and adore it and highly recommend it. So I am really hoping I love this one just as much as every other lover of Christina Lauren's novels, but also everyone who loves this novel so far who might not even be a fan of Christina Lauren. It's at the top of my TBR. Every single time I talk about Christina Lauren or I look at my books on my Christina Lauren shelf, it's just sitting there waiting for me, and I am intimidated to pick it up, but I need to because I know that I am going to enjoy Christina Lauren's writing. I'm just hoping that the story will be incredible. And speaking of comfort authors I would love to continue reading from, I have a book and a series by Tessa Bailey. This is the Romancing the Clarkson series, the first book being Too Hot to Handle. Definitely not to be mistaken as the TV show. From what I know, this book/series came out ages ago, but it was just picked up and repackaged by Hachette Australia. These new covers, in my opinion, look so much better than the original. I love myself a good Tessa Bailey companion series based on my reading experiences with Hot and Hammered and with the Bellinger Sisters series. So I am very much looking forward to reading more by Tessa Bailey, especially when it involves friends who interconnect in different novels. I honestly cannot wait. Just need to read more Tessa Bailey, but I also need to read more series by her because it's just a given at this point. I just really need to. And the next romance novel that is at the top of my TBR is the romance novel that is not 100% fully contemporary because there's a superhero in this novel, but I am so looking forward to finally getting to When Gracie Met the Grump by Mariana Zapata. So this is contemporary for the most part. I believe it more heavily focuses on the romance, but I'm not 100% sure because I haven't read it. It's categorized as romance everywhere. I'm never seeing it ever in the science fiction or fantasy section in a bookstore whatsoever. I just really want to get to this one because I've always wanted to follow a superhero romance, but like specifically the romance aspect of a superhero story. In my early 20s, I was very much into Marvel comics. Now I have Marvel fatigue. I can read about vigilantes and villains in manga and I wouldn't mind. I can also read them in fantasy fantasy and science fiction novels generally, and I won't get tired of them. But for some reason, at the moment, I have Marvel fatigue, and it's probably the post-Endgame fatigue that a lot of people are experiencing like myself. But I've always wanted to experience a romance that involves a superhero, but like heavily focuses on the romance and it heavily focuses on the relationship, because as much as I've enjoyed the Marvel comics and the Marvel movies, it's not often that the romance takes the spotlight. And I think that it's kind of important to follow a relationship where pretty much one of the members of the relationship are constantly having to risk their lives every day to protect humanity. I just find that premise fascinating, and so that's why I've always wanted to read When Gracie Met the Grump ever since I first heard about it. So I'm very much looking forward to prioritizing this one this year. And the next romance novel I have at the top of my TBR is Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter. Ever since I heard about the synopsis of this one, I immediately knew I had to pick it up. So pretty much, this is a romance that kicks off when I believe one of the characters dials the wrong number. That is all I knew about it, and I was immediately sold. I believe that after they dial the wrong number, they continue their friendship or relationship, or I really don't know what this is, a flirtationship. I am completely sold by this. I've wanted to read more by Lynn Painter, like Better Than the Movies and The Do-Over and Accidentally Amy. However, Mr. Wrong Number is the book that sold me on the premise alone. So I cannot wait to get to Mr. Wrong Number at some point. I just know that I'm going to have a very hilarious time with this novel. I've heard only positive things, so fingers crossed I will love it just as much as everyone else has so far. But what I do know so far is that Better Than the Movies tends to get a lot more hype by Lynn Painter. I don't know whether it's because Better Than the Movies put them on the map. We will see though. This one, Mr. Wrong Number, is the one I'm looking forward to the most based on the synopsis. And then I have Marriage for One by Ella Mays. Ella Mays is already a favorite romance novelist because I have read the love and hate duology from them. The one that involves Jason Thorne and Adam Connor. I love that duology so much. It was so sweet. However, I feel like Marriage for One gets its own separate hype. And from what I've seen so far, readers love it for its own reasons rather than it just being like another Ella Mays novel based on the Jason Thorne, Adam Connor duology. Marriage for One had a very funny cover to begin with, so I personally avoided purchasing that edition. However, I'm really happy that it got repackaged because I have wanted to read more from Ella Mays, and Ella Mays is just an absolute comfort author from me. I mean, I would love to see more relationship development in her novels, so I'm hoping that Marriage for One will have more relationship development, not just because it's about marriage, but also because it seems to be on the thicker side as opposed to the other novels that I've purchased from her. Fingers crossed I will get to it and I will love it just as much as the other ones I've read from her. And the next few romance novels I would like to get to on my TBR are all part of a companion series that, my friends, is the Brown Sisters Trilogy by Talia Hibbert. I also want to read more from Talia Hibbert. I believe she also has The Princess Trap. That one I very much want to get to. However, these are ones that I own at the moment, and I've heard about the series ever since it was in the middle of getting published. I believe Get a Life Chloe Brown. When that came out, I first heard about this whole series and everybody was raving about it and recommending it. I just never got to it. However, I'm very much looking forward to reading it and joining the fandom here. It's interesting. I've noticed a few non-romance readers actually really like this trilogy and recommend it. For some reason, that's what's intrigued me even more, because I am only just becoming an avid romance reader myself, and I'm noticing other booktubers and book bloggers and bookstagrammers who are not in the romance space recommend this contemporary romance trilogy. And so that's what's gotten me even more curious, because I'm only just really getting into romance contemporary. I mean, it's only been a year so far. However, I've been avoiding this trilogy in a way because I have been holding it up to a higher standard based on the fact that so many people recommend this trilogy, not necessarily just romance readers. So fingers crossed, this will be a new favorite romance companion trilogy of mine. I love romance companion trilogies. I love romance companions in general. I just really hope that this one turns out to be just as good as the other ones I've read. And the next romance novel I have at the top of my TBR is Thank You for Listening by Julia Whelan. If you guys don't know, Julia Whelan is an audiobook narrator. They have narrated so many great audiobooks out there. And funnily enough, Julia Whelan has narrated so many of my favorite books or series, such as Taylor Jenkins Reid's Backlist and the Charlotte Holmes series, a few others as well. I ended up going on Goodreads one day and I saw Thank You for Listening in my recommended section. Like, you know, on the side tab of Goodreads where it says, we see that you've liked this book, then we would recommend this. I noticed that Thank You for Listening was on that side tab, and I noticed the name, Julia Whelan, and I had to figure out whether it was the Julia Whelan, and I found out that it was, and Julia Julia Whelan was writing a novel and it was going to be coming out middle of last year, and I got so excited, and so I immediately knew when I went to the bookstore and Camilo offered to purchase me a book, I had to ask him for this one, and he accepted, and I'm honestly so grateful. This one I've wanted to read for quite some time, but I think once again, because I love Julia Whelan as an audiobook narrator, I kind of hold this up to a high standard because she's read so many amazing novels, and I know based on that she has some great inspiration, but can she keep up? There's only one way to find out. I'm gonna read this book and we will see. The second last romance novel that I would really love to prioritize getting to, maybe sometime this year, is You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hoggle. This one I'm really struggling with a little bit because I have DNF'd Twice Shy. Not officially, like I haven't put that book down forever. It's just Twice Shy, I attempted to read it twice, and I really need a third time because it was pretty difficult for me to get into Twice Shy. Funnily enough, everyone who has read Twice Shy so far that I know loves it. I feel a little bit embarrassed there. You Deserve Each Other, I hear, is one of those hate to love romances and second chance romances that are just really good, that pull on your heartstrings, but also is a very entertaining read, and it's just too good to miss. I'm nervous about this one because I hear that it is great and it's better than Twice Shy, and I mean, Twice Shy was good, it's just I wasn't in the mood to read it the 2 times that I read it. So we will see how we go with You Deserve Each Other, but You Deserve Each Other, I'd have to say, intrigues me more in terms of its premise, especially because I love a good hate to love romance, but I also love a second chance romance. I believe that this is a second chance romance within a marital relationship, and personally that intrigues me even more. So we will see how we go about this one. I hope that I love it, and we will see whether I get to Twice Shy first in terms of giving it a second chance, or I just move on to You Deserve Each Other, and to see whether I should continue on with Twice Shy eventually or not. And the final book I have to mention that is at the top of my romance TBR is The X-Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I feel like I've mentioned this a few times on my channel, talking about how it's on my TBR, but I never really get to it. I am very much fascinated in this specific romance novel because once again, we have a hate to love dynamic here. But instead of following exes, we are following 2 characters who have some sort of unspoken beef between them. What I do know is that they just don't talk. However, when they do talk to each other, they seem to be a little bit argumentative. And so this radio station decides that they want to do some sort of segment where these 2 exes are hashing things out. It's either a radio show or it's a podcast. So like I've heard people synopsize this in many different ways to the point that I am just making my own version up, but it's among the same lines, because if it wasn't, I would not be interested in it, because I'm very much interested in it based on that premise. And I believe that they develop a relationship based on that tension. I am here for it because I would love the tea to be spilt, but in a fictional sense. I don't know, I just want something entertaining to read, and I feel like I want to read this novel, but I want to read it more for entertainment purposes rather than romantic purposes, because as much as I love reading romance novels, I tend to go to the ones that sound the most wholesome if I'm looking for a wholesome read. Whereas with the X-Talk, I feel like I would go into it for more entertainment purposes. We will see whether or not I get to the X-Talk in 2023. I have put it on my 23 books I wanted to read in 2023 with the hopes that I will finally get to it. I have literally put it at the top of my romance TBR. I feel like it has to happen this year because it's just too entertaining to miss. However, am I setting myself up for failure based on my high expectations for it? I don't know. We will see. I guess that's gonna be it for this video today, book lovers. If you happen to stay till the end of the video, leave me the pink heart emoji with the sparkles. And if you happen to enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet already. Join the amazing community of book lovers. And also, I have social medias. I'm at GSwizzleBooks on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm also Goodreads. That's www.goodreads.com/GSwizzle. And finally, I'm at TikTok. I'm at GSwizzle on TikTok if you want to follow me there for some bookish content. I love you, book lovers, and I will see you later. Peace.
Started out with half and I flipped it in a double. Started out with half and I flipped it in a double.